and thank you for sharing in this rich season of waiting and readying ourselves. We have lit, and now we will relight the first 3 candles of the Advent wreath for hope, for peace, and for joy. Whatever makes flame down there, go ahead and use. And it's time to light our last Advent candle. We light our 4th Advent candle to call upon love. Love freely given and accepted. Love made manifest by our actions. May our efforts for justice be grounded in love. May we be lifted up by the love we have received. And as we share our love with others, may we learn also to love ourselves. Today is also the 6th day of Hanukkah, so we light 6 candles on our menorah this morning in honor of the Jewish Festival of Lights. I hope those of you who were here last Sunday for our Hanukkah service have been busy passing on your family stories of resilience this week. This morning's meditation is by Christine Robinson. We join our hearts and minds together in a time of meditation and prayer, spoken, silent, sung, and shared. It is a precious time, and all precious times want preparation. So I invite you to settle yourself in a straight posture, both feet grounded on the floor, to take a deep breath. Hold it until you notice your need to breathe out, and relax. I invite you to close your eyes. Vision is the single most energy-intensive activity of our brains. We are in the time of the Winter Solstice, a time when those who are very attentive to the skies note that the sun, which has relentlessly moved southward on the horizon since last June, seems to pause on its journey before beginning to climb northward to center again. Solstice is a time of pause. So pause. Breathe. Relax. Rest. Be at peace. Spirit of winter rest, help us to enjoy your peace in this quiet place. Remind us to pause during this season. Grant us awareness. Keep our gratitude fresh each day. May the songs in our heart be blessings and insights to us and to others. And may compassion always shine forth from the depths of our hearts. Amen. Our reading this morning is a responsive reading, so I hope you will join me. It's at the back of your hymnals, number 653. Reflections on the Resurgence of Joy. I will read the bold words if you will join me with the italics. 653 at the back of your hymnal. How short the daylight hours have now become. How gray the skies. How barren seem the trees. But there is that in me which reaches up toward light and laughter, bells and carolers, Because it speaks the truths of older myths. And babes are born. Babes are hope and saviors of the world, as miracles abound in common things. Thank you. Sheila Ryan sent me these words by Rose Flint this week. Winter has swallowed us, taken us deep. In the chill of ice, trees stand stark as bones. The land is cold iron. Frost slows all movement, so Gaia is still as death. Only the brilliant stars in the black sky remember the rhythms of earth as they wheel through the night. All is connected. As stars bloom and die, as flowers fall to seed, as bone becomes nurturing ground, the wheeling universe lives in its beauty and pattern. We are stardust, born of the great goddess, and in her is all hope. Even in the most severe terror of darkness and cold that Kali brings, the spark flares again to ignite the perfect miracle of life. When all seems lost, the mystery of the universe begins to lift us into light and renewal once more. Today, on the winter solstice, we welcome the return of the light. From tomorrow on, the days will begin to get longer, and we will welcome each new minute of light. We will feel the blessing of each one. This time of year always brings up the question for me, how do we welcome the return of the light? Especially after times of darkness in our lives, how do we heal? We often think of the long, cold, and dark winter as something to get through, to struggle through, and it is. But what if there is something to embrace there, too? That's why I love this morning's opening hymn so much. It reframes winter. Listen again to the words. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Maybe winter offers us its own answer to the questions brought up by the turning of the year. Maybe the answer to our questions about healing, the answer to our questions about the return of the light, lie in the darkness, lie in the waiting. As much as we reject it, there is something healing about spending time in the dark. Something restoring about cocooning ourselves in blankets against the cold. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes that I may see more clearly. We need moments of waiting, moments of uncertainty. We need moments and seasons of quiet for reflection, for being alone with our thoughts, for letting our thoughts go where they will. We need the peace of the dark before the light can come. I invite you today on the winter solstice to think about what other gifts the darkness offers. Someone sent me a Mary Oliver poem this week called Snowy Night. Last night, an owl in the blue dark tossed an indeterminate number of carefully shaped sounds into the world, in which, a quarter of a mile away, I happened to be standing. I couldn't tell which one it was, the barred or the great horned ship of the air. It was that distant. But anyway, aren't there moments that are better than knowing something, and sweeter? Snow was falling so much like the stars filling the dark trees that one could easily imagine its reason for being was nothing more than prettiness. I suppose if this were someone else's story, they would have insisted on knowing whatever is knowable, would have hurried over the fields to name it, the owl, I mean. But it's mine, this poem of the night, and I just stood there, listening, and holding out my hands to the soft glitter falling through the air. I love this world, but not for its answers. And I wish good luck to the owl, whatever its name, and I wish great welcome to the snow, whatever its severe and comfortless and beautiful meaning. The winter solstice is the celebration that comes only after spending time in the darkness. It is a celebration of the coming light, but I also always think of it as a time to thank the darkness, the generative darkness, for the gifts it has given us before moving on into the season of increasing light. We aren't sad to say goodbye to the darkness, but we thank it. Only then do we welcome the light. My colleague, Reverend Steve Schick, offers this reflection on solstice. Solstice celebrations capture the moment when the darkness gives way to the light. For thousands of years, people have tried to hold on to that moment of joy and certainty. 5,000 years ago at Newgrange in Ireland, people built a circular structure that let a shaft of light travel deep into a central chamber at the dawning of the winter solstice. There, the light pierced the darkness and illuminated intricate symbols, including eye-shaped carvings. We can imagine how the anxiety caused by the approaching darkness was relieved when the light was seen making its journey down the shaft. Then observers could predict their future with confidence. In time after the winter, the growing and harvest seasons would follow. Constructing shafts for the light to reach into the central chamber of our hearts, he says, is an effort that must take place in a time of waiting and uncertainty, in a time before the eye begins to see. So much of what we do in life, he says, depends on how we respond to this waiting moment. Such a time can be met with confidence and anticipation, or anxiety and despair. Confidence that the light will be seen again, or anxiety that it may never return? What can we do in this waiting moment? Steve tells us to practice imagining the dawning shaft of light as it makes its way into our own hearts. This, he says, shouldn't be done alone. No solitary individual assembled the great circular stones at New Grange, he reminds us. People gathered together to build a chamber where the light could be reflected in another's eyes. Waiting is not the same as being passive, he reminds us. Living in this dark requires active waiting. The only question is, will we in this waiting time build a chamber where the light can be reflected widely enough so that others can see its beauty? Sometimes the light appears in surprising ways. Like on a Monday morning when you open the door to the church and there is someone delivering a giant gingerbread house in the shape of the UU meeting house. And it is a gift. And they ask you if you want it. And the only response you can possibly have is yes. Yes. And thank you. Sometimes the light is slower to arrive, and somehow the joy of it is sweeter for the waiting. Every year since I was 3 or 4, at about this time of year, I've gone to the Christmas revels at Sanders Theatre in Cambridge. When my niece and nephew each turned 3 or 4, we started bringing them, my mom and I. It's a special tradition for me, and I love to pass it on. Every year, the last thing in the performance is the same, the recitation of a poem by Susan Cooper. And the last line of the poem is, "Welcome Yule," and everyone in the audience echoes back, "Welcome Yule," and it's fabulous. My favorite part of the revels has always been the intermission. Now, those of you who have never been might laugh at that, but those of you who have gone know that the intermission is a great event. As much a part of the play as the songs and stories and dances are. Because at the intermission, we all sing the Lord of the Dance, and then we all dance. We join hands with the hundreds and hundreds of other audience members, and if you're lucky, a performer. And we head down the stairs into the great hall of the lobby, and we dance in a long, spiraling line until the hall is so full of people that they have to stop. And the dance is a simple one. You sort of jog with a beat, lifting up one leg at a time, and trying to keep holding hands with the person in front and behind you without being torn in two. And we're all singing, "Dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance," said he, "and I'll lead you all wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance," said he. It's always been my favorite part. But you know what? I've never been able to convince my niece and nephew to come into the hall with me. They've wanted nothing to do with it. So for the last 7 years, I've gone into the hall myself. My mom has valiantly stayed behind doing grandma duty with the kids. But that changed this year. As soon as the lights went up for the intermission this year, my nephew, John, who's 11 now, stood up. He looked over to me and nodded. I could tell what that meant. he was dancing this year. What a wonderful time I had, holding his hand and following him into the crowd. I loved the look on his face as we spiraled through the hall in a great crush. It was wonderful. Dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I'll lead you all wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. I don't know what he had to overcome to finally take part in the dance. I don't know what changed for him. But after 7 years, something shifted enough for him to try it. It's hard to know how change comes, or healing, or getting over loss, or overcoming depression. We don't know how the light returns, but we know it does. We know that despite all signs to the contrary, in the middle of the cold, dark winter, the light returns. Solstice celebrations capture the moment when the darkness and the light are in balance, just before the balance tips in favor of the light. You never know how the light will come. Sometimes it is a gift. Sometimes it is hard won. Sometimes it is a slow kind of grace, like a dripping faucet. However it comes, let us be grateful for its return. Grateful also for the healing darkness. We needn't always know the source of that grace. We just need to hold out our hand and welcome it. And so the shortest day came and the year died. And everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing, to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires all night long to keep the year alive. And when the New Year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen. All the long echoes sing the same delight this shortest day. As promise wakens in the sleeping land, they carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends, and hope for peace. And now, so do we here now, this year and every year. Welcome Yule. Welcome Yule. Amen, and blessed be.